Welcome to Beers with Contractors.
All right, tradies, another episode of Beers with Contractors. Terry, cheers to you, sir.
Cheers, Will.
You know that old saying, it's like riding a bike. We're going to find out because we've been out of practice. We've had conferences, we've had summer travel, we've had home projects going on. We should have stretched before this.
We're going to stretch our livers here shortly.
Yes, well, we already pre-gamed. We always have the traditional one beer pre-game before we talk to you guys out there in the world. We got to get the slur just right for all 5-6 listeners out there. Speaking of our 5-6 listeners, we met several listeners this last week at the National Foundation Repair Association conference. What do you know?
I know it was honestly enjoyable walking around, meeting a bunch of the listeners, all foundation folks. None of them as attractive as I had hoped, you know. But no, that you got these like mid-40s gentlemen coming up. Hey, I love your podcast. I'm like, you're not what I was hoping for. So I mean,
I should have given you a Sharpie, and you could just be like, yeah, and just autograph his forehead without permission.
you sign a baby. No, I mean your event on Tuesday night for Bedrock Academy and all of the folks that came through was great. And in true Will Blake fashion, it was completely made possible by your family.
Because I just had to show up with the microphone.
I mean, your wife was working the ticket counter. You know, your son is back in the kitchen. You know, even your younger son is out doing stuff.
Put him to work, man. That's free labor.
No, that is the epitome of what I expected.
Hey, listen, we've talked about gross profit margin on this show. So, like, I had to watch that GPM, man. I had to watch that profit margin. That shit ain't free. Like, I'm not a nonprofit here, but it was a great time. It was awesome to have you there. I think you even mentioned there were people like, I've seen you before.
Well, no, it's like, you know, it's one of those awkward events. You walk in and you're like, do I know you? I know you. Why do I know you? Do I know you from something I can admit to?
No. Well, out of that conference, actually produced our guest today, which I'm super pumped about.
Yep.
Because I'm a big believer in like, well, you know, you've experienced my journey into the world of tech and software and how much like there's just a lot of stuff out there. It's just a noise fest of just all this stuff going on, but also I admire companies that have dialed in and specifically solved a very specific problem for a very specific group of people really well.
Riches and
when I met these folks this last week, I was like, nope, getting on the podcast, like, let's go. So today we have Rachael and Leslie from Oblyss. Man, this is one of the coolest. A lot of us call it a CRM FSM system, but it is what a lot of folks after the conference defined as an ecosystem, which I think it's not a technical term in the software world. But Leslie, Rachael, welcome to Beers with Contractors.
Sorry, man. I wish I'd have had my cigar, but I will thank you for the invitation. We appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, when the moment I met you guys, I was super pumped. Like you guys, what I like about software is when you can tell somebody came from the trenches, not, hey, we took a bunch of VC funds and we're a bunch of New York folks. We already exited three companies. And now we're just going to slick back and we're going to do something else. So Leslie, let's start with you. Like, where did you kind of get into this? And what was the final straw moment for you to say, this is what we're building?
It's a great story. Rachael and I were introduced about a year ago by one of my business partner's brother who she used to work for. And I have been in the software development business and like say old school 25 plus years and have ran a software development firm. And I have worked with small business founders for decades and I love it. And meeting Rachael and hearing her vision and her going to, 5 or 6 NFRA conferences, taking notes. I heard her brother even tell me she should just be at the table taking notes, and he didn't think he was lifting keyboard for her, but she was capturing the stuff the whole time. So I'm up here listening to the stories, and then I was like, okay, when we were talking, she's like, I have this vision of building this ecosystem. And you're right, that's not an IT technical term. But in this case, I was like, I like this, an ecosystem. What are we trying to do? And as we discussed previously, well, I like that term Willie B though. That reminds me of, we got a guy named Willie D in Houston who's with the Ghetto Boys, just, Scarface Ghetto Boys. So I like that. Willie B is going to stick in my head now. But so as we were looking at doing this, I just started to listen to more of the business issues. And like I tell people, I'm a businessman who happens to be a technologist. So I like solving business problems. And foundation repair, I come from a world of energy, oil and gas, big five consulting, utilities. And my future wife just had a foundation done, I think about a couple of years ago. And we went through that process of looking online. And I think we went to a Yelp and we reached out to a few people, and Ocean responded. And so we ended up going with them, and they ended up doing the work. But that's about as far as I've had gotten into it. But listening to Rachel and her background and family members are into it, I thought this is great. This is an opportunity to focus on an industry and, not try to do roofing, plumbing, and all the other areas, just foundation repair. How can we help solve some business problems? How can we help assimilate and integrate all these disparate solutions they're logging into? And how can we compress it into one environment and make it more cost effective and efficient? And that's how I got or talking to Rachel, how I got inspired to help build this for her, for the company. So go ahead, Rachel, give your speech.
Yeah.
So Rachel, can you explain to me, like Will's been in the foundation world for 30?
Dude, don't you
Well,
put that age on me.
The OG.
Come on.
He's been in
He's
it
an
for a
OG,
minute,
that's
right?
all.
But my background, general construction, commercial construction, and education. What are some of the pain points that we see with generic CRMs, and how can it be improved to make the owner's life better?
Yeah, I mean, that's the pain points are really why I got into this. Talking with my brother and Jay and their company, and my background, I'm been in marketing and advertising for a very long time and have talked with tons of different business owners across a multitude of different industries. Sorry if you can see my dong in the back. but
Nice.
He's my
I just pulled that up
personal
like
I saw that.
oh, that was
Yeah.
a dog. My eyesight's bad. Like,
but I really just was talking with Jess and Jay and talking about their business. And I was hearing the same problems that other business owners were having, which was their disconnected tech stack and how they were paying for all of these different softwares that weren't connecting with each other, that weren't speaking to each other properly, or it would transfer some of the data with APIs, but not all of the data. And it kind of dawned on me, like, why has nobody built a software ecosystem that has everything in it already in one place where you can operate your entire business in one place with one login? Of course, people have preferences. They want to have some integrations on their preferred products so we can integrate those in, but still have it all transfer over into one place and communicate with each other beautifully. So that's kind of how the idea bloomed, and the pain points in it. We just wanted to focus on saving people time and energy and frustration, and the fact that they're running their business on even, we'd say an average of around like 7 to 10. But I mean, one of our beta testers was using 5 different softwares just to run their scheduling.
Yeah.
And that's just scheduling. Estimates was 3 different platforms. They were also doing, their financial side of things. It was crazy. So it ranges.
Well, and scheduling is one of those things. We've got some questions around this because this is a sweet spot you guys have nailed with your 18-part pipeline, and I want to dive into that. However, before I get into that, Rachel, this. I get to meet people all around the country. They're like, I got this great idea, and then it fizzles out.
Yep.
And some of these ideas are amazing. Mm-hmm. I want to hear what made you take action on this idea of Oblyss, because that's probably 95% of the struggle on creating great products is actually doing it.
Yeah. Well, taking action on Oblyss really started from my marketing business. I went from corporate America marketing to creating my own business. I mean, corporate America was really good at teaching you how to basically run things yourself. So I did it. I just created my own business, and I had this idea for a really long time for the Oblyss platform. And I just said, if I'm starting this marketing agency, I can use the profits from this to start helping fund this idea that I have. And it took some time talking with my husband and my family members and brainstorming on how I can move forward. And my husband was like, I think that you should do it. Why not? It's a bar napkin idea at this point, but I think you could really turn it into something that's real. And it took me about 2 years to get everything on paper, everything mapped out, and all of the research in the industry. I mean, it's been 6 years coming, but 2 years, like head down, looking at all of this information. And then I met Leslie, and he helped me really birth this product into something that's real and tangible. I wanted to try and teach myself how to code, but I knew it would take me 30 years to probably get to where Leslie is at this point.
Mhm.
And I don't have the patience for the coding side of things. I can look at it and tell you what's in it, but I cannot go in there and retrain a model or something like that. So, but yeah, Leslie has taken it from this idea phase and blossomed it into something that's real and tangible, and done it faster than I could have expected, and with more efficiency, and has brought even more ideas to the table on top of what I had already planned. So it's just been a great symbiotic relationship.
Yeah, well, we're going to talk about how weird developers are here
Really?
in a little bit.
That's what we're going to do.
Yeah, no, Leslie, it's a backhanded
I'm
compliment,
feeling
but
that,
it's a
yeah.
compliment. I get work. But I want to be clear, we're entering a new era as contractors where if we're not considering having an IT or developer specialist on our team to be able to communicate the needs like you have, Leslie, at Oblyss versus me, Acme Contractor, that's super powerful. And I think that's the evolution we're coming through as contractors is well, let's rewind. And we can laugh about this. We talked about having an episode. Actually, we did have an episode where we talked about the abuse of our fathers in the trades. And your father, by the way, Terry's dad is in studio today. And remember that episode where you're talking about how he yelled at you over the laminate for Micah?
Yeah.
And then he got bitching at you, and then that's when he found out you were colorblind.
Color perception difference.
Wow.
We never would have considered 10 years ago having an HR department in our construction companies.
Yeah.
Now it's if you're a certain size, you don't have an HR department, you got a problem.
Right.
You get above 10 million. If you don't have somebody to interpret your tech stack with your vendors, that's a big issue because, man, it speeds things along so well.
Well, and the interesting aspect is the majority of people you're dealing with in this industry, right? And the small business owners, home service providers, they're great at certain aspects of the business, and technology tends not to be the one.
No. Well, that's where they just want it to be but just fix it. It's all right, what do you want? Well, I don't know what I want. I just want it to work. Sorry. Now I'm bad mouthing my contractor brethren.
But that's one of the biggest pain points in this industry as well, is that foundation repair has been under-recognized for far too long, and there hasn't been that push. The VC companies aren't looking at foundation repair as a big pool, or they used to not be, because they didn't see it as a big enough industry. But it's growing and growing and growing. I mean, faster, from what our research says, faster than any other home service industry out there right now, 5x the amount, really. And with that, we're wanting to bring in the new 21st revolution, 21st ended, we want to bring you into the 21st century and get y'all a tech stack that works actually for you, and not something that you're copy and pasting from another industry like roofing or plumbing or something.
So can you guys kind of touch on the concept of data tracking? And I think this is important because all too often in so many aspects, not just home service business, but in everyday life, I don't think we track the data associated with our day-to-day lives. How are you all looking at the impact of specialized data tracking for home service businesses?
Yeah, I would say you bring up a great point, Terry. I always use the term, data is the new currency. And a lot of time you have a lot of disparate systems with a lot of data. And without getting geeky and getting Willie B over there busting down the tech folks, I'm gonna call you Willie D at some point. I just feel it in my bones. And then I'm just
That's funny. Every time we start an episode, and our listeners, our 6 listeners can't see this. I always throw a random name in the name box, and so today I'm Willie.
Okay, random name, Willie B. Yeah.
Hey, I love it.
I do
I
too.
love it. It
Like I
makes
said,
sense.
I guess homage to the Ghetto Boys. So,
Mhm.
but so that's what I see. So, like I said, I am a person who built multi-billion-dollar trading platforms for large organizations down to websites for the solo entrepreneur business owner who just needs something to get out to the market. And what I've seen along the way throughout all this is that when you speak to folks, and we learned a lot while we were up at NFRA just talking to people, and we're talking about their data, and I'm asking them, so where's your data coming from? And then they bring up, well, we're trying to connect to Salesforce, and well, we're having these challenges, or
Mhm.
we're trying to connect to this platform over here, and they said they can do all these things, but when we signed up, we got in there, and none of it worked, or half of it worked, or we're trying to get drawings from ArcSite, and we have to go to Drawing R site. We got to download a PDF. We got to go to Market Sharp. So I'm just hearing all these systems, and at the end of the day, from the world that I come from, we call it canonical, and that's basically canonical data, which basically means think of it as a hub that sits in the middle and the spoke of data coming from all these disparate systems. So we got to
Mhm.
take all these systems, all this data from these systems. It could be PDFs, CSV files, XLS files, JSON files, all that, and we have to put it in one format so that it comes into the system. So now when they log in, even if they have, like today, Willie, when I got your API, we're able to integrate the performance API into the platform. So if someone has a login credential, then their information, like you told me back and forth, it's a pull push. And so for us, that's one way to saying, hey, you can still get your performance commission information going through here. You don't have to log in all these different places. So that's kind of what we're looking at, is that I'm touching all these different systems with all these different data, and I'm bringing it in. I said, look, guys, I understand busy, going to one place. And that's why we said we wanted to kind of create this ecosystem of one-stop shop centered around data and business processes and business problems. And the tech stack on the back end, I use the analogy, no one gives a damn. They just want to turn on a light switch and the light works, turn it off and it goes off. That's it. They don't care that
Yep.
I'm pushing it to this
Exactly right.
platform, this architecture, this database. Could care less. Does it work? Does it allow me to do A, B, and C? And that's our goal. So for me, and I'll let Rachel chime in here, and she knows this is kind of my passion, is that when I get something from someone, like we have a foundation repair company yesterday that she had a meeting with, and she sent me over the document, and overnight I stayed up to 2 this morning coding, and then I've had it up and running today. And there was a lot of information that they would like to see in the platform. Now, of course, this is this is one of our newer clients we want to work with. So we're going to work a little bit more to get them there and get them onboarded. But it all comes down to the data. So that's why it's a continuum, to your point, Terry. Data is a new currency, and we want to make sure we have people get access to it. Rachel, your thoughts or
Yeah.
anything? I'm sorry, guys, trying to
Yeah.
guide your system.
And no, you're fine. Taking the data point in kind of a different direction as well. If you think about the growth of the foundation repair industry and where it's at right now, and the new specifications that are coming into it and the new areas of the NFRA. I know that they are talking about the research institute that they're developing, the Foundation Repair Research Institute. And, we want to be, if we're bringing on a lot of foundation repair companies, we want to be a place that helps the foundation repair industry grow. And with that, the research side of it, we'll be able to help provide some of that data, obviously with the user's consent, but be able to provide that data to the NFRA so that you can see, soil stability in this location and growth in this location and how X, Y, and Z part of America is doing versus other parts to see the industry trends and where it's going to head.
Well, and I'm glad both you, Leslie, and Rachel bring this up about just the full-on tech stack aspect. I've fallen victim to that. Like, well, Salesforce will just be the all-in-one. It's like, nah, it's not the all-in-one.
Yeah.
It's overly complex. It's insanely expensive. And there are specialty products that just need to be able to communicate back and forth to one another. And we're no longer looking for an all-in-one solution. We're looking for solutions to problems in a complete kind of menu of things that all talk to one another. One of the things that I think you guys do really well at Oblyss and what I saw, and there's so many contractors out there, all industries, forget foundation repair. They're pulling, well, I like to say marketing and sales is for the show, but production's for the dough.
Yep.
And they're using like Go High Level, and they're pulling in their marketing and they're tracking sales. And then they're running their production calendar off of a Google Calendar. And it's like, there's too much money and gross profit margin and not tying up the back end of that. So you guys have really made an awesome pipeline in Oblyss that is like bam, 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 bam. So jobs don't slip through the cracks. Customers don't slip through the cracks. And it's actually very seamless. I got to, even though I was running around with my hair on fire, I got to see it there at NFRA, and it's pretty badass. So I want to take a deep dive in specifically on that pipeline and how people are we're up to 7 listeners now just because I cuss a little bit. How they can preview that and maybe get a glimpse under the hood. All right, tradies, I know lead generation has been top of mind for all of us this last year and going into 2026. So let me put you onto a marketing team I actually trust, Greenbaum Steyer's Strategic Marketing Group. And oh yeah, they're friends and network affiliate of ours, but I'm telling you straight, these guys are different. Most marketing agents, they've never worn boots. They never dealt with seasonality, weird leads, price shoppers, no shows. Mrs. Johnson calling you back 3 times because her basement feels wet. Greenbaum Steyer's was literally born out of a successful foundation repair and waterproofing company like mine, so they actually understand how our businesses work. They've been doing this since 2017. They're a full service branding website. They convert with SEO, compounding over time, traditional media buying, and of course, lead generation that makes the phone ring. But the big thing is strategy. They're focused on helping you overcome what's holding you back, tighten up your systems, and hit real goals, profitable goals, and not just some vanity metrics and pretty reports that you can brag about at some conference. So if you're tired of guessing, tired of wasting money, and you want a team that knows contractors and knows how to drive results, go check out Greenbaum Steyer's Strategic Marketing Group. Tell them Will and Terry sent you. Their website's greenbaumsteyers.com. That's GreenbaumSteyers.com. I'll put it in the link. Keep grinding out there, tradies.
Yeah, absolutely. They can either set a appointment with us, a demo with us, and we'll go through the entire platform with them, talk about how it pertains to their specific business and what we can do for them. Or they can go to app.oblisspro.com and take a view at the live demo on there, sign up for a 14-day free trial, play around in the app, see what it looks like, how it functions, where things are, get familiar with it. And if they want to sign up for onboarding after that, they can. And with the onboarding side of things, we really do take a look at the entire business ecosystem they already have and pull that information in to be able to set them up for success on the start, and where they're not having to sit in that weird period of admin phase, and they're trying to upload all of these PDFs and upload all of these CSV files to get everything in the right place, and then go and code not code, but really kind of when you're dealing with a new CRM or platform, you're having to specify it to your own business. We want to help ease that process along and make sure that the business itself is set up for success in the beginning with the least amount of downtime as possible.
I think from our perspective, and then I've gone through enough onboarding people from one platform to the next. And I know the most painful thing is, oh, you're going to tell me I got to do this over again. I got to download this. I got to do that. And I like, no, if you have access to your existing systems, we will pull the information and set it up for you. We don't want you to have to go in and key in this and type in that. You should just only have to create a profile, get set up. You go into the system, you're looking in like, wow, the same data I have in my other 5 systems. Now I have it in one place. So now I can shut down those and save some money by going to one system. And so that's, to me, my goal is to make things nice and easier for folks. Even with the catalogs, we were talking about how do we get WC Supply and Nash and some of the other ones in there. And I was telling Rachel, I said, well, I got to get access to their API. I got to do this. And then the old coder in me came out and I said, you know what, Les? I'm just going to go ahead and get it. So now the system, so now if you go to this product.
He said coder. He meant hacker.
No,
He meant hacker. I remember the 1996 movie.
Rachel,
you
on old school. Angelina Jolie was in that
God.
movie, and she was a hacker.
Yes, my man Leslie knows.
That's that Gen X stuff, man.
about-
We grew up on that, war games and all that stuff. So no, I didn't go that far, but I was able to go in and pull up supply catalogs. So let's see, Earth Contact Products, Foundation Rescue Supply, Nash, and WP Supply. And I did that because the whole idea was that to have people have the ability to put their own markups on this. So I have a markup piece in a setting, so now they can put their markup on their products when they're setting things up. And that's something where, and we're going to meet with Nash actually tomorrow, right, Rachel? So I like
Yes,
going into
sir,
the
we-
meetings like, Nash, I was going to ask if you could send, but your API was available. So I put it in just so I can show you what it looks like and how we can integrate that. So for me, I like to be proactive when it comes to technology. I don't like to wait to reactive. I can always adjust when someone says, yeah, we like that, but we were thinking about this. I'm like, great, I got 80% of it done. So you're 20% the way you want it. Then I can make that adjustment instead of starting over from the beginning.
Yeah. And moving on even the ordering side, the end goal with these meetings with the distribution side of things is to eventually create that chain inside the platform where they're going from estimate to ordering in the platform. They can kind of see a good view of if they have inventory on hand. I know not many foundation repair companies do, but some keep a small little piece on hand. And in the end, they'll be able to track, if this estimate is going out right now, it'll go ahead and order it for me. I know I'm not going to have to go in and create that order myself. And we're even talking with an engineering company to break down that part too,
Right.
where they can submit a repair proposal. I think it's repair proposal or repair plan into the platform, and they can submit it into the platform. It sends directly to the engineering firms. They will look at it, send it back, ask any questions, vice versa, and then have that time cut from where they're, whatever disconnected system that they're using right now. It's already, all the information is already in the platform. They just click send,
Right.
and they're not having to retype everything. So just cutting down that time in between things and saving technicians' time, sales guys' times, the owner's time, the scheduler's time, everybody, saving them time.
Well, Rachel, so I mean, the root of all businesses is providing a service that makes someone's life
Yes.
easier, right? So Will's out over there providing a foundation repair to make a homeowner's business or life easier. You're providing a service to the foundation company. Have you seen where there is a reduction in cost, and do you have any data on showing like, hey, they're able to say X, Y, and Z or eliminate this many other subscriptions by going with just one total package?
So we have not run all of the numbers yet. I've not run all of the numbers yet, unless Leslie has.
I mean,
and he just
you know, look, I do numbers all the time. What I can share with you from what I've seen is that if I looked at the aggregation of data from all these disparate systems and the time that takes. So we, you know, we had a conversation up there in one of our AI CRM classes where even with receptionists, this guy was like, oh, I can just hire some people to answer the phone, do all this. So I said, well, can they do it 24/7, weekends, holidays, with no attitude, no anything else? And it just, they get the AI voice receptionist answers, addresses, appoints, all these different things. So as I mentioned that, as far as what you asked about data analysis, one of the things I looked at is like, if you have an FTE working 40 hours a week and you can redeploy them on other tasks other than doing some tasks that can be automated, then, you know, hypothetically, I was looking at, oh, look like about 20% reduction in that person's time that can be reallocated. And I told people I'm not pushing for any reduction in force or letting people go as much as redistributing them to the more profitable things in your business. So as I run through the numbers and I look at like, if I can take 5 systems, consolidate the data, and I say the average person may spend a couple hours on each system going back and forth, logging in or having their browser with 5 different tabs open to do that, and we can get them into one system, you're looking at roughly what I'm seeing in the 20% range of time and maybe cost. As we get more data, trust me, I will run the analytics to see what that looks like as we speak with some of our contractors.
Well, when you start talking about automatic ordering, that alone, there's so much waste in ordering. I mean this seriously. We joke about our 5-6 listeners. You know who you are out there. Like, we've talked about shrink here. Those are the things you've ordered and paid for that you can't allocate to invoices. You just don't know where the hell it went. The fact that you guys are already doing that is super powerful, especially because we're an asset-heavy industry. We need a lot of stuff to deliver our product and service to the customer. And unfortunately, a lot of stuff costs a lot of money. Another one that you mentioned before that I want to drill down into a little bit more, like in whether it exists now, but it sounds like you're working on it, is permits and engineering.
Yes.
This is a huge mess because it kills the momentum of projects because it's a pass-through expense. We can't mark up a permit 300% typically. But there's requirements to check those boxes. What are the challenges you're seeing there, but also what are the solutions you both are seeing?
I'll give my perspective first because we literally just had a conversation with an engineering firm. And one of the things that we were discussing was how do we help that process along and understand what they're doing in that space? Because you're right, that was a big issue. So now I went back and I was able to kind of look at the current framework and kind of how it works and what we're currently providing. And if you don't mind, I'll just kind of look at some of the things that, you know, we're looking at for an engineer of record for a particular area and territories, right? So we have, let's say someone's in the DFW area, then certain areas, and they have a process, an engineering firm has that in place. One of the things the engineering firm that we talked to, they said, hey, can you go in and pull the permits per city, per area, wherever the contractors is working? Because he said a lot of times they have to manually have somebody who specifically manually logs in and pulls permits or get permit information. So I said, the data's available, we can pull it. And so I was able to find a platform that all it does is pull it permitting data. So if you got the permitting data and you got the engineering data, then we're able to put that into an engineer of record type component within the platform that will then simultaneously say, hey, I am ABC Foundation Repair. I'm in Galveston, Texas. I need to pull permits here. I need to get this engineering firm. So now the communication between the engineering company and the foundation repair company can happen sooner, and they can pull the information. So, you know, Terry, back to your time, that as I get more into that and I see how that time cuts down to your point, Willie, regarding the permitting, the engineering, and actually inspection and getting all the work done. As I learned this process and see that this information is available, everything comes down to a lot of people just don't know. Because if I got my blinders on and I got work to do, I'm not thinking about, you know what? I bet there's a platform out there where I can pull permits. No, you're thinking about, you got this customer on the line over here who's busting your chops because, hey, you said you're going to be done this time. You said you're going to do this, and now nothing's happening. So my job is to say, how can I help you do your job better? Make, to your point, that gross profit margin kicks in. How can I make more money, more margins? Oh, that's right. I can just find this information and kind of help the process along so they can have the time to make better decisions. So yes, we are building that. Trust me, that's on my to-do list this week to work on that piece of it, and I have all the data.
Well, that's super slick because I mean, you mentioned DFW. Obviously, you think like the great state of Texas, we do things our way. Well, they've got a very arduous, a lot of places in Texas have a very arduous permit process.
Yeah.
I'm going to switch lanes real quick because Terry, you live you work with a lot of heavy commercial folks. Like how is that being managed with a lot of your kind of, I call them affiliates, because you're handing a lot of your students at OU off to these companies. Is that all handled in like Procore and stuff out? Because you even teach on this, right?
Right. So what you're asking is like, is there like one generic software package or environment, right, that we have commercial contractors working in? And there's not, right? And so you'll see it, and a lot of it's based on the size and the scale of the contractor and maybe what their focus is in, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it makes it hard on the education side because we're trying to produce a generic student widget that can go out and be productive for, you know, a Flintco or a J.E. Dunn or a Manhattan or even a smaller contractor, right? Mm-hmm. And so when you look at that, we're trying to give them the basics. And so we see a whole lot of, you know, AutoCAD, Revit, Bluebeam is really coming in, Procore. And a lot of these will specifically look at one maybe aspect of the job, and they'll get into others, but they're not as universal or all-encompassing as we'd like.
But I kind of view that as a conflict in tech world in general. Kind of like, you know, you've heard me say this, like Uber became big, but they had to join two markets. They had to join a driver and a rider, right? And then like this concept, this is a big problem in commercial and residential, is permits and engineering. And we have to combine the contractor and the government agencies. And I've logged into some of these sites and I'm like, dude, am I on like MS-DOS here, bro? You know, like, what are we looking at here?
And you know, another consideration that we see a lot of contractors making, right, is that some of these software packages will have a cost based on the overall cost or budget of the project. All right. So it's a sliding scale. So the bigger the cost or the bigger the budget, the more you're paying to these packages, right?
Well, and I think that's where, like, Rachael, Leslie, you guys were talking about data before. The trending data collectively is hugely just impactful on how do I make better decisions as a contractor.
Yes.
And leaning back in, like, what I love about this is things are happening fast. And I'm going to be very clear. This is not like a paid kind of, or this is not a plug even for my company. I sent Leslie an API document for integrations this morning.
Okay.
I had it back in less than 2 hours. It's done. The speed integration was insanely fast from Oblyss. Ask me how long it took for Service Titan. Yeah, I hope you heard that, Service Titan. They ain't paying attention.
Just saying.
You get kneecapped in the parking lot.
That's a plug, Leslie. Dude, you got it, my man. You're doing good. But knowing that, like, you guys have done a great job creating this ecosystem. What's the next 3 years look like? I know you guys have been dreaming. You've been dreaming. You got to get user feedback, but also you already have a vision. Actually, Rachel's already nodding her head. I want to hear Rachel's
I'm going to let
view
Rachel
of
tackle
this.
that one.
Tradies, running your small business can be demanding. You got suppliers you got to work with. You're managing crews. Hell, you're chasing sales. It's a lot to take in. Listen, if you want to grow your business, you got to stop working in it and you got to start working on it. So that's where my friends at Foundation Rescue Supply come in. You're not just getting foundation repair products and waterproofing products and air quality control products. With their nationwide distribution, you're getting a partner who knows how to help you scale. And that's why I use them. The Foundation Rescue Supply team has industry knowledge that'll help make your life easier. You get the tools, the trainings, the systems that you need to move the needle. You want your sales team to close more leads? Done, because they have the proven process for that. You need your crews to work smarter, not harder? Done. Their installation training will get you out there and rocking and rolling in the field. With Foundation Rescue Supply, you're not just buying materials here, you're buying a better business system that they have helped create. And you sell more, you install more, and you grow your team. So the bottom line is this: you get best industry pricing, you get field productivity on track, and you get more revenue out of everybody on your team. So this is your chance to step up, scale up, and thrive. If you are ready to make that happen, head to foundationrescuesupply.com, check out their catalog, and speak to my friends, their team, how you can take beyond the products with your company with Foundation Rescue Supply.
I don't know if it's in the next 3 years, but maybe 5 to 7 years, we'll probably phase this out as well. But, we want to tap into the homeowner side of things as well and create a place for them, the contractors, to communicate with the homeowners. First step would obviously be to step into other industries if and when that's possible. And then we would want to start connecting homeowners to those contractors and kind of create, the engineering firm that we were talking to earlier was talking about this as well. Create kind of almost like an Uber Eats look of the homeowner's dashboard, where they can see where the technician is coming in and how long the job is going to take and what phase of that job that it's in. And then at the end of the job, they'll be able to leave a review. But I have big plans for the homeowner side of the dashboard, the AI integrations into it, where AI is heading, and how that can affect different industries and the home service industry as a whole is going to help a lot, I think. And, our motto is making home services human again. And so we really wanted to focus, or in the future, I really want to focus on kind of a less of a pay-per-click environment where homeowners are seeing the first person that pops up that's paying the most. And instead, if they're searching for a foundation repair company or any other industry, they're seeing the people that have the best reviews, that, their estimates look the same as their final bills, depending, and a myriad of other things. And how are they in the budget range that they're looking in? And are their communication skills good? And these kinds of things, and not just who pays the most to show up.
Yeah, I think she brought up the point. The Uber thing actually came up while we were in the conference. At one of the gentlemen in one of our classes we gave, he's like, man, it sure would be great if I can see my technicians go from here to there and give it the ETA, and if they're running behind. And I had already had pull something together for technicians, for scheduling technicians to be able to kind of, within a 2-hour radius be informed. So I told him, I said, give me, to your point earlier, Will, I said, give me to tomorrow when I come in here, you'll have it. And I shared it with him, and it was a live map that kind of showed the movement of the trucks going from point A to point B. So the question was, how do you get the homeowner side of it done? I'm like, well, it's no different. If I went and said, hey, we have a demand for homeowner portal within the platform, I would create a portal for homeowners to log in, or a PWA or a progressive web app or a mobile app for them to just be able to say, or a text message, which we can do today with Twilio, and just say, hey, the contractor's on their way, the technician's heading here, and give them the ability to, once they get there, even if they for an inspection or an opportunity to do a contract. I don't like leaving the meat on the bone. So if I come to visit this person, I'm trying to close the deal right there. So how do I do that while I'm with them? If I'm a salesperson with a technician, I don't know when you're going out in the field. But the ideal is that I don't necessarily have to call in and say, hey, can you get the contract ready? Can you email it to them? It's like, no, they're right there. Everything's available. Pull it out, sign a deal. Do you want hard financing, or do you want You want to pay this, then or Stripe, whatever the case may be, is like get the deal signed off while you're there with them, and not leave any room for them to say, well, let me get back to you. Let me look at this. So that's kind of how we're looking at it.
Yeah. Now, Rachel, you guys have created like this like Swiss Army knife, right? Of like different options and packages, right?
I like
And I
that.
know that you're working with performance, but how do you identify things that are going to make a contractor's life better?
Relationships, building relationships with the contractors that I see every day and my marketing agency, and the contractors that I have in my family on the foundation repair side of things. And then through the years that I've been at the conference, I just listening, Jay always talks about how I was secretly recording him in all of the meetings that we've had in the past about what's frustrating him. And
Foil
I
hat.
know,
he thought I
right?
was just picking Yeah.
Can we get those recordings out?
Yeah.
That's funny.
Oh yeah. But I mean, he thought I was just picking his brain, but I was like, I'm serious about this. I want to create a fix for these issues because I know how frustrating they can be, and create a place where you can track your entire job cycle in one area with, from lead to close of deal. You can even see on the marketing side, where did you spend $1 on them, or did they find you organically, and how much did that affect the end sale? We just wanted to, I don't know if that answers your question, but yes.
Well, I think that's also the other issue here is like, we're in the world of big tech as contractors. Holy shit, there is a lot of big tech out there. But trying to get someone to answer a question or respond to you is become just obsolete. And we have found it with our product. You guys are showing that at the conferences last week, like being able to let people know I hear you, and that there's work. I believe going into this transition of the AI revolution that's coming, at the end of the day, we're fixing houses. And 90% of the friends I know in construction, they're really good at typing some stuff into ChatGPT. Beyond that, that's it.
Oh yeah.
And it's like,
yeah.
he's going to wipe out all of this tech. And it's like, no, it's not. Like most people, like even me, I feel like a fool saying this, but like, I still say please to my
Because when they rise up,
Lord.
when they rise up, you ought to
I
remember
love
that.
Terry got it all planned out. When they ride, they're like, I remember the chats when Willie was very pleasant. We won't dig his brain. We'll pull his brain out and just analyze. We'll just let him live.
But no, that's right. You guys have like, I just need an answer to my question, and I need to feel like I've been heard. This is my problem.
Yeah.
Because you both know software, most of it is what problem are we trying to solve so you can have desired XYZ outcome. And that's the hardest thing. And that's a human
Yes, yes.
interaction. And you guys have nailed that. It's been awesome.
Yeah, no, that's very true, Willie. I tell people, look, I have an 86-year-old mother, and I'm her youngest son, and she loves to sell, baby, you can sell water to a well. She has these terms. She's a Louisiana girl, so she has these terms. And I literally just talked to her yesterday, and we were talking about these type of things and this relationship building. And, my future wife says, you never meet a stranger. And I'm like, I genuinely enjoy people. I genuinely enjoy talking to people, especially from industries that I've been a consumer of, but I don't know all the details about. So that was very prevalent in the 3-4 days we were up there, is going to the event on Tuesday night when I heard Willie B up there dropping bars about Coke and I'm sorry, about Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola.
It did happen.
And just throughout the whole entire conference, just listening to people, talking to people, and I'm sitting there just taking it all in, and the conversation that we're having, and the frustration I hear in their voices, and the challenges, And so to me, to your point, it's a people business. I can build all the technology in the world, but it doesn't matter if I don't really go and talk to somebody and say, hey, I'm just a guy here to listen to kind of what's going on in your space, what's some challenges you're seeing, they're open to share, and they shared quite a bit, and showing them that, hey, we can turn these things around fairly quickly. That's our kind of core advantage, because we really here to work for the foundation repair industry. So it behooves us to sit back and listen and implement and execute in a timely manner. I've heard people say, hey, we started working with the big company, and it's been a year later and we still got nothing. We paid them a lot of money. And I'm like, well, you haven't paid me any money, but you got something. So let's imagine when you pay me money, what you're going to get.
Yeah, that's right. That's a mic drop moment.
Yeah.
No, go ahead, Rachel.
No, it's okay. But it really is like a living, breathing thing too. And, when we're talking to clients and things start to change in the industry or with AI or whatever it is, we'll have to continue to change the product and have to continue to work on this product and innovate it to what the next big thing is. And we want to be the people who are continuing on that journey instead of just saying, here's our product, use it or don't. And we want it to be something that people can see the changes that are made actively for what they need in their company.
Yeah. Well, I'm super excited that we met last week. I'm super excited about your product, genuinely. It's very cool. And we mentioned Jay Wells. If anybody's wondering who Jay Wells is, go 3 episodes back. You get introduced to Jay Wells. But I'm excited for the future. Obviously, we're going to drop the show notes in your link. And by the way, oblyspro.com, correct, is
Yes.
the link, Rachel?
Yes.
Yeah, so if they want to do the demo.
Yeah, that's the marketing link of it. And I think the product link that we got, because we're separated, is app.oblyspro.com.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. I'm sorry. Yeah.
OBLYSS, not an I.
Yeah, that's perfect. And so thanks for that. But yeah, Leslie, Rachel, we've had a blast. Sorry, I feel like we turned into a tech podcast today. Sorry, Terry, did you understand some of the acronyms and things we're talking about today?
Terry knows.
Really?
Honestly, Terry, we are back at it, my man. We're getting into the swing of this
Better
thing.
or worse.
Really, I was going to say
Ooh,
that's either a great portrait of Jay or the guy from the community. I can't think of it.
This is my Ron
Yeah,
Swanson from
yeah.
Parks and Rec. Here. Yeah. And all my demo accounts have Ron Swanson and Parks and Rec characters in it, which is funny. But
I was about to say, that
but
face
yeah.
looked familiar. I was like, did he do a portrait of Jay or that Ron Swanson?
No, Terry. Sometimes Terry shows up here
Looking like that.
and he sees that face. Hey, but now
And after a few, it's looking like that.
No, that's the hood right there. I'm a big Chris Farley fan.
yeah, well, tradies, listen, we love you, appreciate you, glad for having Terry back and me. We're back on our normal rotation now, man. We're going into it. So we will see you next week on another episode of Beers with Contractors. Peace.
See ya.
Bye.
And that's a wrap for today's episode of Beers with Contractors. We hope you enjoyed our chat as much as we did. Before we say our final goodbyes, a friendly reminder. Beers with Contractors encourages responsible drinking. If you choose to enjoy a beverage during our time together, please do so in moderation and only if you're of legal drinking age in your country or state. Furthermore, the advice and insights shared in this podcast are for informational purposes only. Always consult with professionals and experts in your field, and be sure to follow local laws and regulations regarding licensing and permits. We're here to help, entertain, and inspire, but your safety and compliance are important. So, as you head out into the world of construction and contracting, remember to build responsibly and make decisions that stand the test of time. Thanks for joining us today. We'll catch you on the next episode of Beers with Contractors. Until then, cheers to your success.